The following podcast is scheduled for one recording with no time limit. Making their way down to somewhere in the ring, Andrew Sanford and Ryan Sprague.
As you can see, I got my shirt and tie on, both for the folks watching, but also because we started doing I started doing school stuff with the boys in the mornings.
So you dressed the part.
I do. I do the same thing when I'm directing something. I like to know. I like people to know that I respect their time. That was a trick I got directing. That trick. I do something I like to do on directing a movie. That for a long time, my biggest point of reference for it was Paul Feig, who directed Spy and Ghostbusters Answer the Call and all kinds of. He's on Freaks and Geeks. He's awesome. He wears full-on three-piece suits, not just when he's directing. I've learned all the time he wears them. Like he's just always
to bed in the shower.
There's lots of celebrities that have stories about. I ran into Paul Feig at the airport, and he's dressed in a three-piece suit. The last place you would want to be wearing a three-piece suit. So teaching the boys some numbers and letters this morning, and
I love it, man.
I just kept it on.
Professor Sanford reporting for duty
they are actually supposed to call me Mr. Cotter, and they do call me Mr. Cotter.
Mr. Cotter. Welcome, everyone, to Somewhere in the Ring.
All right,
with
sure.
Mr. Cotter and Ryan Sprague. We have Bash in Berlin to talk about. Are you transporting into your fridge? What's happening?
I don't usually have my fridge this close to me, so I'm going to crack open a cold one.
What's that?
A grape Waterloo seltzer. It's very good.
Delicious, buddy.
Well, highly recommend.
I should mention I have a special beverage
today too. You know what? Let's see. Okay, so we are Somewhere in the Ring. Usually this is a wrestling podcast where we talk about wrestling. I'm Andrew Sanford. This is Ryan Sprague. But right now, since I just took a sip of something, I am going to insist that Ryan takes a sip of that. It's a Coke Zero Oreo flavor.
Let me tell you the story. I was in we have this like shopping center right near our apartment, grocery store, casino, gym. Dude, it's like living on a resort, I swear. Like a really smoke tobacco infested resort, but a resort nonetheless. Anyways, we got a bunch of discount stores, and I was in one of them just leisurely looking at some drinks, and I tripped upon this Coca-Cola limited edition Oreo flavored. So it literally says on the back here, cookie flavor, sparkling, low calorie. Oh, thank God for that. Soft drink. And I sent you a picture of this.
Yes, you did.
And I was like, dude, look, what is this? What has the world come to? And you said, do not open that, buy it, and you're going to drink it on the show.
I did say that. Oh, well, look, let's I think we should start the show by having you try that delicious beverage.
All right.
And real quick, do they not have Diet Cola in the UK?
They do. I've seen Diet Coke. We've got Diet Pepsi.
I'm mainly asking because, as many listeners may know, one of my several day jobs is that I bartend Broadway shows occasionally, and without fail, people from Europe will ask me for a Coke Zero. They never ask for a Diet Coke. They always ask if we have a Coke Zero. So I wasn't sure if
fair. This says zero sugar on it, so that could be why.
Yeah. All right, crack it open. Get a swig.
Yeah, let's do it. You ready? I have no idea what this could taste like. Here we go, guys. Bottoms up to our ringers out there. Okay.
Yeah, right. Hey.
I was expecting a comedic spit take.
No, sure.
So we're going to lose some ratings, but I'll say this, Andrew. Dude, it almost tastes like vanilla Coke. So it's not
I was literally about to ask.
It's the cream.
Sure. Yep. Yeah.
Wow, this is actually pretty good. Or it tastes like they kind of crushed up an Oreo and or even just dipped one in a Coca-Cola. You know what? I'm going to recommend this, actually. I'm going to recommend it. It's zero sugar, so you can drink 100 of these at a time, and you will not get sick, because zero sugar means everything else in this is perfectly healthy for you. I'm sure.
That's true.
That's why the ingredients are like 10 pages long. Dude, I'm recommending this. Oreo Coca-Cola.
Excellent.
Boom. Cheers.
And I also want to cheers to you. Cheers. Because Ryan just spent the majority of the last 48 hours doing something very impressive, and then I forced him to drink that mystery beverage on television. So on the screen. So I appreciate you, Ryan. And tell the folks about Anomicon. Tell everybody what you've been up to these last couple of days. Well, really, last several months getting everything prepped. But
that's a long story, which I can get into briefly. So if it's not obvious, I'm a little delirious today, so I want to apologize in advance. Going on about 2 hours of sleep in the last 48 hours. I do a conference that I founded last year called Anomicon. It's a live streamed virtual event. It's completely free. It lives right on the Ryan Sprague YouTube channel. In fact, I think I accidentally live streamed from somewhere in the ring for day 2 of Anomicon. So you can watch it right here.
There you go. Yep.
That being said, for any of our viewers or listeners who don't know, I'm mostly known as a UFO researcher, and I do a podcast all about UFOs. So what I did was I gathered a ton of my colleagues, friends, people who really inspire me in that world, in that space, and had them do lectures, man, completely for free. These are people who gave me their time, their efforts, their insights, and expected absolutely nothing in return. And we had 37 speakers.
Incredible.
Stretched out over 14 hours a day. I streamed in the past 48 hours. I streamed for 28 hours collectively. So again, apologies if I'm a little delirious tonight, but dude, it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I do want to give a special shout out to my moderator, Suzanne. She's a listener of my podcast, and she's just, you've met her, right? I think she was on one of our streams once.
Yeah. She moderated one of the episodes I did with Mr. Nicholas Westermeyer.
Yes, our movie review. Yep. So she was with me the entire time. She moderated all 28 hours of the stream. She's just a gift from God. I will say that right now.
Awesome.
So it went pretty much. It went off. What's the term? Without a hitch. There we go. That's where I'm at, guys. We had one tech issue during the event, but we were able to resolve it as it happened. But the big thing was, and I promise I'll make this brief. All of our presentations are pre-recorded, so that gives me time to. I don't have to schedule everything. People don't have to be like, you're on. Where are you?
Right. Sure. That's smart. Sure.
And, it gives them time to make it what they want it to be. So what I do is I basically curate all of these talks and I edit them. I put in all my Anomicon graphics. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Sure.
It's very time consuming. So what happened was on day 1, I was all good to go. Everything for day 1 was set. And then as we were streaming day 1, something happened to my day 2 files of over, I want to say 14, 15 presentations. Completely crashed, completely vanished. So I streamed for 14 hours. It was 5 a.m. I had to download, salvage, and post-produce another 14 things to be ready the next day within about the span of 8 hours. So I literally have not slept. But, Andrew, my saving grace through all of this, Bash in Berlin.
Hey,
leave it to wrestling.
Bash. I keep saying Bash at Berlin. No, I think it's in Berlin. I think you're correct. Yeah. I'm the wrong one.
You speak not good, my friend.
I speak not good much.
Yeah.
Not all. Good.
So all this to say, Anomicon was a huge success. The
Excellent.
numbers are growing. We're going to do it again next year. Scale it down. I have already decided it's going to be scaled down tremendously.
Good.
But my God, a special thanks to everyone who watched, all of our speakers. Huge success. If you're into anything, ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, we talked about it.
You guys ran the gamut.
Oh man, everything. Comic books. You even caught one of the presentations.
I did. Michael Avon Oming.
Correct.
My favorite comic book artist. He's incredible. Did Powers. He worked with Bendis a lot. He's awesome.
Yep. Dick Tracy, Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, he's cool. He's just a cool dude.
Awesome,
very smart, very open-minded.
Yep. Huge UFO guy. He created a comic book called Blue Book, which is based on the U.S. Air Force's investigation into UFOs back in the 40s.
Wasn't there a TV show for a brief time?
There was,
yeah.
Yep.
I should
2
know
seasons.
his real name. His name is not Littlefinger.
I want to say it's like Gideon or Aiden or something like that.
I think Aiden something. Yeah.
Sounds about right. All this to say, Anomicon was a huge success, but I'm so happy to be talking wrestling, my friend.
Woo! And I think we have some news bits to talk about right up at the top, like kind of developing stories almost. So things like specifically, there is one that may have an answer by like tomorrow. By the time this is released,
this is out,
who knows? But Odyssey Jones, recent addition to the New Day, and not even technically like a. It seemed like they were setting up a storyline that was going to have Odyssey Jones join the New Day, and that cause a rift between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I believe we talked about it on the show at one point.
Yes.
Really impressive debut. Odyssey Jones has been at it for a long time, like a decent amount of time. He's been a part of the WWE system since like 2020, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he's been in development for a bit. They finally brought him up, and then out of nowhere, he was removed from the WWE's roster page. Wasn't moved into alumni yet that I can see. And that's usually like a clearer sign that someone has been released. But people are kind of wondering what happened if he was released, if maybe they're just in the middle of a contract negotiation. I have an inkling that there's a possibility that it might have something to do with some other news that we covered last week a little bit, which we'll talk about in a sec.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I saw that like as we were going on the air here. You know, we're always looking for some news to talk about, and sometimes it's pressing, oftentimes it's not. But when I saw that he was removed, like that to me, like maybe it's the drama in me, but I'm like, oh, scandal. We're gonna hear about it tomorrow. It's probably it could happen. But whatever it is, I have to be careful because if it turns out to be something horrible, I don't want to praise the man. On the flip side, like I was really looking forward to that storyline. His charisma was off the charts, and
I
wanted that for them too, for the New Day. I thought it would have been a really cool story to play out. And maybe look, we can't deny also this could all be some sort of work. It could be a story. It doesn't seem like it, but I wouldn't put it past WWE. They've done far stranger things like blow people up in limos and you know. So it happens.
Yeah, and it's one of those things now where the walls of kayfabe have been broken down so significantly at this point that you'd almost assume that there would be information out there already, and kind of the lack of information makes me think that there's no like I feel like if there's no smoke, there's no fire. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll connect that to our other big news item in a sec. But the other thing that came up, Damian Priest was almost in the Black Panther sequel.
Wakanda Forever. Yeah.
So
my microphone just turned on, by the way. I apologize for how horrible I must have sounded during all of that, guys. Again, coming off 28 hours.
I still heard you. The people heard you. But he said it was kind of taken away from him. If I had to guess, he was probably the WWE didn't want to give him the time away which used to be more of a big deal. And, when you go shoot a Marvel movie, you got to be locked in a bunker for 3 months, almost quite literally.
Seth
but
Rollins.
yeah, Damien. I'm sorry?
Did you know that? He's supposed to be in the new Winter Soldier or Captain America, whatever it is.
Yeah. That's right. New World Order. Yeah. And it won't be Mercedes Moné was in Mandalorian. Like Disney has definitely not shied away from kind of poaching some wrestlers as actors because debatably they jump-started Batista's acting career. Right. They made a movie star. So they might be trying to recreate that.
It
yeah, but he didn't really get his start with Disney. They grabbed him after he was already a movie star. I mean, in the sense that like Batista, I think had maybe done one other movie before he did Guardians of the Galaxy. I'd have to check that, but he did very little before that. So maybe we'll see. It's fun to know. I think Damian Priest certainly has a look of a movie star, so I'd be interested. We'll see if he ends up in anything else.
Well, but and the last thing I'll say about that, he did mention. He said this had nothing to do. This is not Marvel's choice.
Right.
So you could sort of hear the snark behind that. And he also said, it was a different regime back then. So, I mean, you put 2 and 2 together. This was clearly probably a decision made by one VM. I will not say his name. So unfortunate, but he doesn't regret it one bit. And dude, look, I mean, he's hotter than ever right now. And he's only getting hotter in the WWE. So there'll be time, and there will be plenty more Marvel opportunities in the future.
Sure. Yeah. So one last bit of news before we get in our Bash in Berlin review. This is something where I would like to issue a correction of past Andrew, maybe even a bit of an apology, because in our last episode, I went pretty hard on Swerve Strickland re-signing with AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. We were very critical of AEW in general. I didn't love what was coming out of that pay-per-view, what's coming out of there, even though I didn't watch it, which is on me. So, but the biggest thing that needs to be said is that AEW is good for the wrestling business. And what just happened, or the rumors going around make that even clearer. Allegedly, WWE is very upset that Swerve Strickland got one of the highest contracts in wrestling from AEW. It is making them, I believe even the words were getting thrown around that he was getting paid above his market value, which is an insane thing to say about human beings. But I understand it's a business, yada, yada, yada. WWE notoriously underpays people. This is kind of like the chickens coming home to roost. Their hand might be forced in certain situations. Somebody like Odyssey Jones, who had an incredible debut on the main roster, can now go, hey, wait a minute. I don't like this contract that you offered me. I don't like how much money you're going to pay me. I don't want to not have as many days off, even though there was actually, who was it? Jonathan Coachman recently. It was like Randy Orton did an interview before Bash in Berlin where he talked about how things backstage are much nicer at WWE now.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonathan Coachman jumped in saying like, yeah, I got in trouble. I was punished for missing an Afghanistan show because my daughter was due and my wife didn't want me to leave. Yeah, he was punished for that. That doesn't really happen anymore. So the travel, that kind of stuff is better. But they still might not be getting paid what they should probably get paid. And given that rumor and what's going on with Odyssey Jones, I hope he's just kind of holding out. Because look, at the end of the day, he can take the momentum that he has currently and bring that over to AEW if he wants. Bring it over to TNA, get money.
I guess my question would be, why is WWE upset? Because it's above the quote-unquote market value? Like, they had their opportunities for Strickland. Like,
sure,
that's on them.
But I think the idea being that we see it happen in baseball quite often. A pitcher will get paid $300 million for 4 years, like get some kind of contract. And that then kind of sets the tone for other contracts.
I see.
Now, obviously,
so it's like setting a new base level.
Exactly. which is a good thing. Like they, at the end of the day, WWE has shareholders and stockholders and a board and all that different stuff because they are a company that is owned by TKO that has to meet expectations and hit quotas and do sales and yada, yada, yada. AEW is the passion project of a rich like a billionaire's kid. They don't care.
Yeah. Right.
They're making all their money on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't care. Presumably. And other
spend
things.
whatever they want.
They can spend whatever they want. And that's great. This is one of those rare examples where it's a billionaire kind of using their money for good. Where it's just like, yeah, this is going to be a stick in the craw of folks over at WWE because they might have to actually start paying people. So
interesting.
So all that being said, All In was great. Let's have 7 more of them. Give me more Swerve Strict. Give me more AEW. I don't care. Even if I don't like what they're doing, their existence is good for the business.
Exactly.
What they are doing will help wrestlers.
Yep. Exactly.
So,
and at the end of the day, like, I don't care how much money AEW makes, WWE makes, TNA. Like, I care about the wrestlers because they're the ones sacrificing their bodies, their relationships, their time on this earth to entertain us, you, me, the people watching this, listening to this. Like, I care about the wrestlers, and they come first. They should always come first. And I'm interested to see how this plays out once WWE Raw moves to Netflix. Like, you can't tell me that things are going to get a little heated in the locker rooms between Raw people and SmackDown people because these Netflix Raw people are going to be seen by millions more people, while these SmackDown people are remaining on the antiquated cable network to perform. So I could see a lot of those SmackDown people being like, what could I do over at AEW? What could I get paid over there instead of staying on SmackDown over at WWE? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too far ahead.
No, I don't think you are. If anything, I would argue that the WWE has probably already kind of seen that as being maybe an issue, or that USA has seen that as being an issue, and that we'll probably see a lot more crossover going forward. That would be my guess. You'll get the guys who get the big bump on Netflix jumping over onto SmackDown, and vice versa.
So basically, leaving the draft even less.
I think if I had to guess, and this is just me trying to think like a shareholder or a board member or whatever, if you don't want to like cannibalize your own ratings, and I feel like that's probably part of why they do the brand split to begin with. So that way SmackDown does its thing, Raw does its thing, and you kind of have to watch both to get a unique product. And now that they can't really cannibalize each other because they're both not on cable, I think we'll probably start to see a little bit more crossover. And we've seen some in the last few weeks. So, but yeah, it's WWE is recording record profits. The deal with Netflix is worth billions of dollars. Them complaining about Swerve Strickland, allegedly complaining about Swerve Strickland, is a bad look. So we'll see.
Sounds a little ridiculous. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a bad look, and it was a bad look that I had last week. So I'm willing to say I was incorrect and should have just assumed that, like, oh, this is a very good thing. This young up and coming wrestler. Well, actually, he's not that young. He's been at it a lot longer than I thought.
Early 40s, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's.
Remember, we reviewed his Defy match. We're like, oh man, he's got to be in his like early 20s. And then you looked it up in real time. We're like, holy crap, he's like 38 here.
Yep. Yeah.
You mentioned profits, dollars, all of this stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
WWE made it very clear throughout this entire PLE that this was the highest gate in WWE history for a PLE, I believe. And I can see why this was probably one of the most memorable PLEs I personally have experienced in my time watching the product, but I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse. We had Bash in Berlin this past weekend in Spoiler alert. Berlin, of
There
all
it is.
places.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And they're continuing these European PLEs, which I am loving as a honorary European right now.
I was about to say, and I am
yeah.
loving I didn't get to watch it live. I watched it when I got home from working a double, but even better, because it was in the middle of the day, I didn't have to wait until 1 a.m. to watch the rewind. I was able to just start it right up as soon as I got home and enjoy myself. There might have been something too. I'm a big fan of Matt Gorley. If anybody is familiar with him, he's a big podcaster, and he has a Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd, y'all. I guess if you're not, find me on Letterboxd. But he, on his Letterboxd, all he'll usually write about the movies he watched is how his day was and how the movie was. Like, so he'll say like good movie, okay day, or okay movie, good day, or like bad day, okay movie, like that kind of stuff. And I kind of like that context. And I would like to say I really enjoyed this Bash at Berlin, but everything worked out perfectly. My chicken wings were home we were there when I got home, thanks to my lovely wife. I got to start it as soon as I got back. I had enough energy.
You hit every subway train.
The buses were running great. Like everything was great.
Cool.
Like it worked out perfect. And I just had an absolute blast beginning to end. I thought it was a great PLE.
Yeah. And we'll get into it, but yeah, dude, like I have not left a PLE feeling so satisfied in a while.
I think that's a great word. Yep.
That's a lot to say too, because not much happened in this PLE in terms of like storyline or like, dramatic title changes, nothing like that. But my God, the wrestling,
very good.
Let's
very good.
Let's hop into what I was pretty surprised was the first match of the night. Actually, the opening match.
I was at first until I was like, oh, you got to let the hometown boy go get the main event.
Yeah,
it was a mix. Yeah, it was a mix of like there's that, and then I think. We've talked about the first match was Cody Rhodes against Kevin Owens for the Universal title, and something that we have talked about on here quite often. And this is no offense to Kevin Owens because it was a very good match. He's kind of a placeholder challenger. He just is.
Yeah.
It's been nothing but placeholder challenges for Cody Rhodes so far, and that includes Solo Sikoa. Like there is just not a lot of juice to any of these. It's not that they're bad. It's not that the setups are bad. I don't love what they're doing with Bloodline 1.5, but I just like with the Kevin Owens one and like addressing their history, and that's kind of I always am impressed when they can pull off like a face versus a face match and have that and have the crowd still be into it. But it just worked.
Yeah,
they just worked really well together. And
you can tell they have yes, you can tell their friendship is strong, in kayfabe and outside of it too.
Right.
And I think this is going to eventually come to a head between Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes somehow, some way. But you're right, man. The thing with Cody's run, and I know we'll get into it as with this match too, but I've heard a lot of wrestlers recently talking about Cody's run and like what they think about it. And I tend to agree with many of them that the most important part of anyone's, world championship run is the lead up, is the challenge, the struggle to get there. That's what people want. That's what people crave. And that's what people love. Once it happens, then it's kind of like all downhill from there. Unfortunately, it's kind of just like seeing how long you can keep that percolating and how long the audience will stick behind that champion. And honestly, like how much money are they drawing, at a continued rate. So yeah, I think we all love the 2.5 year story of Cody becoming champion. But I think everyone right now is sort of feeling like, okay, now what? And it is what it is. I think again, once we move back into The Rock and Roman Reigns, it'll get a bit more interesting. But yeah, I'm going too deep into the weeds with all of this. This
No,
match specifically.
No, I don't think
good.
you are. I think that's some important context, because it was the first one, at least for me so far in his run, that felt exciting while I was watching it. I don't know how else to say that. Like, I wasn't too excited by the solo match. I wasn't too excited by the AJ Styles match, even though the crowd was really into it. That tag match that he had at one point, that was fine. Like, I think the issue that we're having is that we almost had about 3 years of build up before he won the title, which included losing at WrestleMania. Like, that's just a hard act to follow. And I think about currently in the MCU, Robert Downey Jr. is going to return to play Dr. Doom. Everybody stay with me. He is going to be playing a different character. Now, I would argue, speaking of shareholders and having to meet certain things, I think that Marvel was faced with an almost impossible task, which was replacing somebody that they rightfully should have fired, that they had spent 2 years, 3 years, 4 years building up as a villain in Jonathan Majors as Kang. But they still needed to hit the release dates that they already had set, or at least get within that same vein. It feels like they're trying to get whatever they can out before the 20th anniversary, which is in 4 years. And to do that, they had to, they had to very quickly think of an idea that has kind of a shorthand with audiences and has storylines that are kind of already there that they can play with. Spoiler alert for the MCU: Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man dies at one point, and to have characters deal with that same man, but as a different person, that is going to have some emotional heft. Whether or not it's executed well is another story. We have to wait and see on that. But there will be a shorthand with audiences. They won't have to do as much buildup as they usually have to do or have chosen to do to set him up. Randy Orton is that person for Cody Rhodes, and they have just yet to do that. He is somebody that is a separate storyline that has history with Cody Rhodes that could be referenced and mined and used. And why they haven't gone there is beyond me. I have been beating this drum, that drum this entire time. Maybe it has to do with Orton wanting to be a face. I'm honestly not sure. But I would have much rather seen the second or third match between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton than what we got. And that's even liking what we got. So imagine if you just swapped it and it was Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton and Gunther against Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can get a lot of the same out of it.
So, yes, I agree. You know what I was looking for in this match was a heel turn. I think everyone was.
Oh, sure.
Like, everyone was like, "Oh man, here we go." Like, KO's gonna
for a couple matches this night. Yeah.
Oof, yeah. And we didn't get that. This remained a babyface versus babyface. Like, even at the point where, so the rumor is that Cody kind of tweaked his leg doing a tour, a bunch of house shows and whatnot. And this was kind of like, all over Twitter and everything. I think Cody even referenced it at one point. So going into this match, everyone was like, ooh, this is a good thing. Like, he's got a weakness and Kevin Owens is going to go after it. And they did have a moment where Cody's leg gave out and everyone was like, here it is. And even Kevin Owens was eyeing it like a freaking piece of like steak. And he's like, here I go. Let's do this. And he pulled back and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And
I like that moment a lot. He played that really well.
Great. He played it. So he's just, man
very
is
good. He's very good. That's, I think, one of you just had two wrestlers who are at their peak, arguably. I think just doing a really good job, putting on a really good match.
It was a great match.
It was a great match. The physicality was great. Weren't really any botches, and that's not even like I try not to hold it against people when there are botches, because I feel like there should be more often than not. But when there aren't, I'm always very impressed. So I thought they did an incredible job. And the ending of the match went over swimming. Like, I loved the Cody Rhodes beats Kevin Owens, and then Kevin Owens raises his hand, and then Cody tries to raise his, and he's like, "No, that's not like." I'm always impressed when the story is so well communicated in a way that like you wouldn't even need the announcers. Like when
Absolutely.
and that's always good when we have them. It's always fun. But when we don't need them, it's impressive stuff. And I thought that first match was really good.
It
I'd
was
give it an
great.
A.
I give it an A as well. The crowd clearly gave it an A.
Oh my
Let's say
God.
this off the bat. This German crowd was spectacular.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty great.
Fantastic.
I almost wonder if they're going to just like keep waiting, like kind of like slowly trickle out different appearances. And then even kind of like, I don't think you have to build that hype again. And I feel like it would probably be like another year or two, maybe even 2 at least, since we see them in Germany again for that reason.
I think they got to be careful with oversaturating the international market too much because, you know, it gets your base fans in the United States a little probably jealous, to be honest.
Or you have situations where you try to sell out an 85,000 seat stadium and only end up at like 50 something.
We will not mention all those red seats that were empty at All In. Let's move to the next match of the night, Andrew. WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. I think we both predicted that the unholy duo, they're a duo, unholy alliance. I don't remember. Whatever they're called.
I thought Jade Cargill. I thought Jade Cargill was going to turn on Bianca Belair in this match, and they were setting it up that way.
Right.
It was very interesting, and who knows, they might have just planted the seeds for that a little bit. Triple H is definitely a bigger fan of like long, but there were several moments in the match where Jade Cargill, like Bianca Belair was like hurt or getting like, getting beaten, and Jade Cargill had to save her. Or and I thought, I was like, I feel like she's going to get frustrated by the end of this match and be like, I forget this. Like, I don't need you. I had to save you the whole, and that didn't really happen. Still might. Still could. It could just be planting those seeds, but yeah.
I think you're right. I think, again, I also believe that this was going to be the time where this tag team was done. But no, man, like clearly they're champions again, but that comes with its own issues. It comes with it. And let's be honest, like in this match, Jade kind of came out as the hero. The announcer team even like really put her over in the match instead of Bianca. So I could see that being kind of the little seed of Bianca starting to be like, I've been carrying you since you got to this company.
Sure.
I've been building you up. I've been helping you. And now you're the hero. Like, did people forget who I am? I'm freaking Bianca Belair. Like, come on. So I can see that.
She's so good.
Oh, she's incredible. But again, like, kudos to, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Like, they had their time, they had a good run, but we'll see what happens next. Not much to say about the match, to be completely honest. It was probably
I thought it was fine.
It was good. Yeah, probably my least favorite of the night, but that's actually saying a lot because this was a top to bottom incredible show. So I gave it a B. I don't know. What do you give it?
I would go B+. B+.
Okay.
Because they stay, if anything, it gets over that extra hump for me because I loved the emerald green outfits that they had on. I thought
oh my God, they looked amazing.
Looked like superheroes. Like, it was really cool.
Everyone did.
Really
well,
awesome.
We'll get to our next match. I thought Mr. Drew McIntyre looked incredible, and CM Punk looked better than he's ever looked before.
Match of the night.
So we had
match of the night, in my
strap
opinion.
match. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, match of the night for you.
I think this is the first time that we have seen CM Punk back to 100% since he's been in the WWE. And I think this is probably the time where like all the hype, all the everything, it's just like, yeah, here you go. Here's why.
Yep.
Here's why people love this guy. And to his credit, same with Drew McIntyre. I like Drew McIntyre. I've liked Drew McIntyre for a while. I don't know if I've ever seen. I thought they brought the best out in each other from beginning to end in this match. Just the physicality was incredible. The moves are incredible. All the spots were fun. The storytelling was still there. I was a little, because I understand why people in their last match thought it was a little too heavy on like the bracelet and what's going on with Rollins and like getting those storyline stuff. And I get that. I didn't dislike the match. I definitely didn't like love it as much as I thought we were like, but there was something about this kind of bare bones, just like two guys beating the hell out of each other and really going for broke, that I just thought was incredible and really worked. And then still carried over into Monday. Like, just
Exactly.
you can tell how good this is, because I think that like we are not done by a long shot.
We are not. Bad Blood's coming up, but I do want to sort of set up this match because it's a little unique and different from most matches we ever see. It was a strap match where basically
it's the first kind of match you and I have covered like this easily.
True. Yeah. So they strap the wrestlers together with like I don't know, 12-foot strap or something.
Yeah, it looks like a belt that would only fit Galactus. Like,
exactly.
Huge.
And the
and like
goal,
first appearance Galactus, where he's just kind of a tall guy standing on a suit on a skyscraper. Yeah, like early Kirby and Lee stuff.
Yeah, God. So strap. They must. So basically, they have to hit every turnbuckle on every corner, right?
Which I love.
One wrestler has to hit every turnbuckle in succession.
Yes,
they have
without
like
being interrupted. Without being interrupted.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I've never seen a match like this. This was new for me.
I kind of wonder, lovers not experts, if it had been done with the lights in the corner before, and if not, this is one of those times where I'm like, oh, I hope this is in the video, like the next video game. Like I was like, this would be a lot of fun to play. And and they even, what I loved about it the most, they even had fun with it because they had the like, oh, tap it. You got to get the fourth one. Oh, something happens. But at one point, McIntyre put Punk on his shoulders and was walking around tapping him, and Punk kept tapping them behind him,
unbeknownst to McIntyre. That was
which was really fun. Like it was really just it's rare, I think, that match really takes advantage of its stipulation and like really fleshes that out and really uses it. And this was one of those instances where I thought they just really like they had this gimmick and they used it with aplomb. Like it was exciting. And I think they used the strap in like fun, interesting ways. Like there's at one point where McIntyre was trying to like hit the turnbuckle for the last time and Punk just dove out of the ring and like dragged him. I thought that was awesome.
Jeez.
Like, genius stuff.
They used that strap as best they could. Like, it's like throwing a prop into two improv comedians and being like, make gold out of this. And I honestly think they did, man. They did. We should mention, Punk hit a GTS on every corner, which was really cool to see. And all of them looked amazing. I'm not huge on his finisher, but he made it look really good. He really sold it for me in this.
Also, I love that they like to just keep things going. This is one of those great matches where there was a winner and a loser, but both got over. Like both, like, the McIntyre had to be destroyed for Punk to be able to win. Like he had to annihilate him. And I just always love that kind of stuff. Like, and it just, McIntyre probably outweighs Punk by like 80 pounds. Easily. Yeah. So like, but you can't tell. Like it's something too, to Punk's credit. Like I don't even think until he got added to the new video game, because I haven't played as him. And actually, no, that's a lie. I very briefly played as him in AEW Fight Forever, one of the worst wrestling video games ever made. But he is listed as a light heavyweight in WWE 2K24. And I was like, I guess I never really thought about that. But yeah, he is. But it's because when he's in the ring, that is all kind of part of the psychology. It's all still there, but you still will believe when he beats somebody that's like almost twice his size.
Right.
Like it's just very convincing. And that's him and part of it's McIntyre. Like I was asking my older brother about this. As far as I'm aware, there was no like pre-existing beef between them. And I think Punk has kind of like alluded to the idea that like any beefs that were there have been squashed since he's been back. He, in that interview pre-Mania, he was like, I like to sit down. If I'm going to work with somebody, we have to sit down in a room, squash whatever's going on, and talk about how we're going to make money. Like, let's have adult conversations. Let's just clear the air and move forward. And, you know, some people, that's different with every other wrestler. For instance, Kevin Owens, I believe, in an interview with Sports Illustrated within this last week, said that he and Punk are not friends. We're just very plain about it. He's just like, look, there's not a lot of bad blood there. Or maybe like,
no pun intended.
Well, also, a story that I was not aware of is that Punk embarrassed Kevin Owens in front of the Ring of Honor roster in like 2005, 2006. Oof. Owens had just started and was wearing a singlet, didn't like wearing a singlet, asked to change. Punk called him out about it in front of everybody and then like said his new ring gear looks stupid or something like that. And like, it was just, they had a very heated moment. And then Punk was off to WWE like within the year, if not less. And then Owens quickly became one of Ring of Honor's biggest stars ever. So there is bad blood there. There is an old, almost 20-year-old incident there, but they're not going to like, you know, Kevin Owens isn't going to go on TV and be like, yeah, you like my costume? You like, this is my shirt. This is what I wear.
Right. It serves
I think AEW should exist and is doing a great job paying wrestlers what they deserve, and I want them to fire Jack Perry into the sun. So let's.
All right.
Such a little baby. So,
Jungle Boy
and the Young Bucks
and
the Young Bucks. Sorry, no, not Jungle Boy. I love Jungle Boy. Jack Perry, whatever neckbeard character he's playing now, that character can get gone, and the Young Bucks can go with him. But enough about that.
Scapegoat. That's what he's called.
Yeah. That's sure. Okay. I hate it. But yeah, this match had none of that. It just had
amazing
what
match
we needed, and it was incredible. It was really incredible. Also, Punk got busted open at one point, and that was one of those things where it just looked like McIntyre just headbutted him too hard. Which, like,
oopsies.
Yep. Yeah. Look, hiding a razor blade in your wrist tape or whatever, that's pretty hardcore, but taking a headbutt so hard that it cuts you open.
And breaking skin. Exactly, man.
Pretty rough.
Match was incredible. Like, again, the walls of texts I sent you when we first started this podcast about how much I hated CM Punk would, astound
me. Decorate a bathroom with it.
Exactly. I love this, man. I love
a smaller bathroom. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. A New York City bathroom. Yeah. Amazing match. A+. CM Punk got his bracelet back, which everyone
loved that moment.
Crowd went nuts, obviously. Yep. And yeah, this is not done. This feud is not done, but now they're 1-1. We got to see what happens. Hopefully at Bad Blood.
Real quick, before we move on to the next match, what do you want to see them? What gimmick do you want next? I'm putting my fingers close to. There we go. Oh man, I got some dry skin on my thumb. What do you want to see next? What do you want to see?
I'm with you, man. I'm foreseeing a Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood. Like, I think everyone's feeling it. Everyone's ready. And I think it could top this match, which is going to be very hard to do.
I agree. And I would be interested, which is why I'm just going to say it. I would want Hell in a Cell, but since you already gave that answer, I want to see the Triple Cage return from WCW Nitro / Ready to Rumble fame, where they have to get up all three cages and whatever nonsense that was terribly unsafe. Maybe not do that, but I wouldn't mind.
Also, can we do it in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, floating? And
sure.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I don't know what that is in reference.
What was that? Okay, that's the Anomicon 28-hour stream coming out in me, guys.
We are apologies. Atlantis is going to finally rise from the seas, and its only mission is to give us the final match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre.
Namor showing up and Aquaman. Yeah. Wow. Okay,
working together. What's your grade? What's your grade for this match?
A+. Match of the night.
A+ for me as well.
Yep.
And again, high bar. That is a high standard because
very much so.
There were only 5 matches.
Love it.
And they were all great.
Yeah.
Like everything
never happens.
I didn't have a doubt moment
how rare that is. Yeah.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
And I think I could be wrong. it felt like they were trying to do a little bit of what AEW is good at, which is when they have a pay-per-view, they really make those matches. Like, it's not about wasting time. I think a lot of the something else. I think what happened in between the last match between Punk and McIntyre, a lot of the storyline stuff. I think that's a Raw thing. I think that's a SmackDown thing. I think with a pay-per-view, it's got to be tighter, it's got to be stronger, and I think they really accomplished that with this one.
Absolutely. Let's move to the fun match of the night. That was Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, the Terror Twins. Shout out to Brisby.
You beat me to it.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
you can do it too.
Shout out, Brie.
Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. Finally, this whole storyline is coming to a head. I don't know.
Well, you were doing a Nomicon yesterday, so this stuff kept going into Monday Night Raw. We are still
really okay.
They are still going.
Dude, it's Tuesday. Strong. I didn't even realize that Raw happened. That's where oh my God, there was a Raw.
You are allowed. There was a Raw. CM Punk got carried out on a stretcher. McIntyre beat him up so bad.
Yeah, okay, this is my like. I'm not joking. I'm not acting. Like I know nothing that happened on Raw. I forgot that Monday Night Raw was last night. That's where I'm
good
at.
Stuff.
So.
That's good stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it when we get off the air.
Woo.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you think of the Terror Twins versus the new Judgment Day?
It was a blast. To be fair, I think this kind of falls into some of the territory of what I was just talking about, whereas a lot of storyline stuff and a lot of those kinds of things. But I also just think the storyline is very exciting. We got to see Rhea take a couple shots at Dom, which I've been wanting. We got to see, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's there. And I didn't expect to be so in on Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest kind of being kicked out and teaming up together. But yeah. I absolutely love it. I love it so much. I think they're both incredible. I think it works to what they're doing so well. I think they play off of it. I think Rhea Ripley makes Damian Priest better.
Absolutely.
I literally do.
It. Like, you can see the friendship, you can see the loyalty, and this isn't a work. This isn't like character.
Oh,
like,
sure,
this is two wrestlers who have gone through hell and high water together, and dude, like, they just build each other up, and it's incredible to see. I don't want to see them go their separate ways, but they both have like chances to be again champions in their own right. But right 100%. Now, like, I want more of the Terror Twins, and I want to keep seeing this because they make an incredible team. What's difficult is having like a team that's a man and a woman, because how far is WWE willing to go, with matches like that?
Megan Wetzel, Karrion Kross, and whoever he's with. I always forget her name.
Scarlett.
Scarlett, my apologies. But yeah, it starts to, after that, it just starts, the list gets smaller and smaller. So yeah, I'm right there with you in that I wish that they have to find a way to keep them together. But especially because I think Damian Priest is just getting to be himself right now. And I don't think he's better on the mic right now because he's not having to do the brooding leader who wants everything to go right stuff. He's just not great at that. That's not going to be everybody's strong suit. Originally, I feel like that was supposed to be Edge. So, you know what I mean? Like, he kind of got thrust in it, and I think he did the best that he could have done with it. But seeing him to just have fun and be friends with Rhea Ripley, and I think Finn Balor is very good at the brooding leader, jealous leader stuff. So I for a set of storylines that I really expected to just kind of like dissipate in the way that the Bloodline stuff has, even though I think they're just kind of taking their time. I love this. I love them as a team. I love Dom and Liv Morgan as a team. I thought this match was a lot of fun, and I expected it to be not a low point in the night, but I didn't expect it to be as exciting and as full as it was. And I just had a blast watching it.
Agreed. Liv Morgan sold it so well.
She's so good, man.
Oh,
she's so
God,
good.
Man. Like, for a wrestler and character who people, kind of forgot about, she has come out looking like just $1 million.
Yep.
$1 million. Talk about a wrestler who can sell. Like, this is the
Yes.
art of selling. And
Yep.
she's doing such an incredible job. She reminds me of Sami Zayn. Like, she
Sure.
works and she
Yeah.
sells how brutal this stuff is. I mean, Rhea got a headbutt in on her. They won the match, Rhea and Damian, which I was not expecting. I really thought this is going to be Liv and Dom's night. And I cannot say enough about how incredible Liv Morgan is doing right now.
Yeah. If I had to guess, and this is my predictions have been, I'll say it, ass on here recently. But if I had to take a wager, a guess, I don't think Liv Morgan is ever going to lose that belt to Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley's got to go wrestle whoever the women's Universal Champ is. I think they can firmly establish Liv as a world heavyweight champion, start having her have some other feuds, stuff like that, and I think Rhea gets to like move up, as it were.
I love it. Absolutely love it, man. I gave it an A. Dude, this is like A's across the board. Did I give any B's yet? Oh, I gave the Jade Cargill match a B. But yeah.
I give this one a B plus, just like the other tag match. Tag matches are hard.
That's fair.
And I think but I think there was a lot of fun stuff in this, and I like everybody involved. So I'm just going to go with a B plus.
Totally.
Yep.
All right, World Heavyweight Championship, my man. Gunther versus Randy Orton, and the crowd went nuts for both of them.
A barn burner, a slobber knocker, it's just one of the better pure wrestling matches I think WWE has put on in quite some time.
So
that's
good.
And I do think Kevin Owens would have been able to get the same performance out of Gunther and vice versa. And there could have been more between Orton and Rhodes, but dagnabbit, this is why you put these two together. This felt very much like WWE going, we can wrestle. We can show you wrestling. We know how to wrestle.
We're not
we're not sports entertainers anymore. We're wrestlers. And that's what this whole pay-per-view felt like. It felt like wrestling.
Perfect. That's the perfect way to describe this, man. Like, talk about, this was an AEW caliber wrestling show with the WWE glitz and glamour and sharpness and style. Like, I want to mention that too. The style of this entire thing, the darkness of the crowd, the gold, the black, the way they it almost reminded me of Defy Wrestling. Like the way they kind of spotlighted and made it cinematic. This pay-per-view, PLE, looked beautiful from top to bottom. Like the production value, insanely good. But let's get back to the match as we close things out. Ludwig introduced Gunther, which I thought was awesome. Yeah,
I've become a bit. Which I thought was a really lovely touch, and was really nice. And it was one of those weird things where I just got stuck in my. I just thought about I was about to make a joke about how Germany just elected its first far right leader since 1945, and then I was I literally did the mental math of, don't bring that up, Andrew. That's not everybody there's fault. But then I was like, well, you know what? We spent a good solid 4 years getting blamed for half the country that I did. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. It was. There was something about him introducing him that way that not only made sense, but it just was fun. And I think they've been doing a good job with Kaiser. And I really was kind of nervous when they got rid of Giovanni Ricci. Da Vinci, my apologies. I was like, I wonder if they're just kind of, Gunther's going to be rolling by himself. No, and I think he doesn't need a stable. I think in period, if I don't need to see what's the other guy's name, the one who just that we thought was going to join Dragunov. They don't need him, and Dragunov doesn't really need them. So
he's on his way to a solo career.
Yeah. So if anything, it was just nice to see him involved, and I thought that was a really fun way. And
good touch.
And then the match was incredible. They beat the hell out of each other.
Meat slapping meat to the 10th degree.
Yeah, big meaty men slapping meat.
Meat to meat ratio off the charts.
But also, they're so Like, yes, but also like because Orton came back from his injury just jacked. Gunter has slimmed down considerably. And so they're like these big dudes who can hit, but also then their cardio is next level. It's
Oh my
insane.
God. Dude, this match was 28 minutes long.
Yeah, that's
I was
nuts.
exhausted watching this in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. No, yeah.
They didn't stop
Crazy.
once. Like, I mean, yeah, there were moments where they were on the ground or like,
Yeah. But the
soaking up what the audience
intensity.
was. The
Yeah.
intensity was there. Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess to kind of get into the match itself. What did you think in terms of like the spots and all of that? I mean, there were no
I
like
get
huge major spots, but like
no, but it's because again, it was just more of like a pure wrestling. I thought what they did worked really well with their styles. There was a lot of
right,
holds, there was a lot of trying to overpower each other, a lot of whacking and smacking and hitting, like, and just in a way that I just thought worked. Like it was the same with the Cody and Kevin Owens match or the Drew and CM Punk match, where it was just you just have two wrestlers whose styles complement each other very well. And so like we got to, and then we still get our RKO's, we still get like oh boy, it was very late when I watched this match, but remind me, and I see this is what happens when I turn you down for an outline. Gunter choking Orton out was very effective.
well, before
Did he
even that, man, um,
mm-hmm.
Randy Orton gave Gunter the RKO, and Gunter kicked out of the pin.
Right.
Like
Yep.
that's unheard of. And
It was
you could
huge.
tell Randy was shocked. The
Played it
audience
great.
was shocked. My mouth was like wide
Mm-hmm.
open. Like I was like, "Oh my God. Like this is it."
Yeah.
Within the span of like a few seconds,
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton put this guy over the freaking moon in
Yep.
terms of allowing this story to play out where
Yeah.
Gunter would kick out of an RKO. And then
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, as you just mentioned, the end of this match was a naked chokehold where Gunther made Randy Orton pass the F out to end the
Which is
match. Wow.
awesome. And like to have that happen, I think we talked recently or a few weeks ago that when this might have been pre SummerSlam actually, that Braun Breaker took out Dragunov by knocking him out outside of the ring. To me,
Yes.
like getting a pin is great. There's something very definitive about knocking somebody out in the ring. That's
Yep.
different. I think this feud is over now. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Gunter gets to move on.
Agreed.
And I thought that was very effective. And it doesn't hurt Randy Orton to have that happen. It just lifts up Gunter.
And I said literally last week, I don't like matches that don't end with a pin. I love the 1, 2, 3. I love the
Sure.
drama of it
Yeah.
all.
Yep.
And even at this event, when we did have pins, they were yelling the numbers in German, which I loved. It was so fun.
Yeah.
But this ending of passing out in a chokehold, it was perfect. It was perfect. It could not have made Gunter look better.
No, and it fits to his. It reminds me of like a Taz or a Kurt Angle or like these guys who like the submission. It's like, well, that's it. You're done. Over and done with. So
over.
Yeah,
35 minutes this match went. I'm sorry.
Dude,
That's
awesome.
It felt like a 20-minute, 15-minute match. That's how good it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. I loved. I know I've talked about why isn't Randy Orton wrestling Cody Rhodes, but I think he would have to be a heel in that situation, and he's having too much fun as a face. At one point, he's like getting in, like the crowd is cheering, and he's just loving it, like they were doing some kind of chant, and he was like getting into it. Like
he was loving it.
He's having a blast.
Well,
and it's infectious.
On top of that, to kind of put a cap on all of that, at the end of this match, Gunter extended his hand to shake. Randy shook his hand. That's the respect each of them had for one another. It wasn't about story. It wasn't about dominance. It was the better man won that night. And I'm going to take this back. That was the moment Randy put this guy over. And not even the universe, but or the galaxy, the universe sees no end to where Gunter is going to go after this, man.
Yeah, and I like that. Like, look, I don't see him becoming a face anytime soon, but I prefer. I not prefer. I am always impressed because I believe in the Andy Kaufman reading of wrestling, which is you have a good guy and you have a bad guy, and that's why it works. The good guy is good and the bad guy is bad, and that's what the crowd can get into.
Yeah,
that tried and true. But this kind of like nuanced, like with Kevin Owens and with Gunter, where they're not good, but they're not bad. Like they're like Gunter definitely leans more bad, but like to have the finish happen that way and have that respect and that handshake, it's interesting. It's exciting, and it opens more pathways. It allows you to do more stuff with their characters. So
it brings me back to the days of Stone Cold. I'm going to be completely honest, like this sort of anti-hero thing. It's alive and better than ever. And I thought this was a perfect way to end a night in Berlin. And Gunter did speak to the audience in German again, just giving it extra touch. And oh my God, A+ on this match for me.
Same.
Yeah.
I think it's my first. It might be my first 2 A+ in one night ever. Don't hold me to that. That might have happened one of the WrestleMania nights. I'm a
Someone
dad.
go
I'm
back
tired.
and look into that, please. I
don't.
I want to rub it in Andrew's face.
But yeah, so Bash in Berlin, really successful, really good. I don't know who I want Gunter to fight next, but I'm excited by the possibilities.
Me too.
I honestly don't know who he could fight next. I feel like he's going to get Bad Blood off.
Yep.
That'll probably be like a dip, but we'll see. That's
uncharted territories,
a month
man.
away at this point. Yep.
I love it. We have a lot of Raw and SmackDown to go before then.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Overall, Bash in Berlin grade, I'm giving this an A. This has been my absolute favorite PLE of the year, and that does include SummerSlam, and that does include WrestleMania. I loved this.
Wow. Okay.
And again, maybe it's because I had the high of going into a Nomicon, but even after, in retrospect, I'm going to go back and watch some of these matches, which is rare. It's rare for me to revisit such current
that's
matches,
awesome.
But dude, I just can't say enough about Bash in Berlin. It was amazing.
Yeah. It's an A for me too. I had a great time. Loved watching it. Excited to see what happens next, and already seeing some of that play out. So
A+ from Professor Carter. Come on, man. I had to bring it back. Isn't that what you comedians do?
Yes. Yep. That's it. Yep.
Ring the bell. Let's get the hell out of here.
Okay. Yeah. Right. As always, go to patreon.com/somewhere in the ring. Find us on the socials. Just type somewhere in the ring. Go to our merch shop. We got merch at TeePublic. Right, we got stuff for you to put on your body. As always, you can find me. Actually, I didn't deactivate my Twitter, but I'm like not on there at all anymore.
Good for you.
So you can find me on Threads on a half-white son of a black man. I'm just not on social media a ton right now, and it feels kind of freeing. But go to Vimeo, look up Pay the Tithe, watch a horror movie I wrote and directed. And Ryan, what else are you going to just collapse now that you could finished Anomicon and people can go watch all of it on your respective YouTube channels, and they should?
Oh, thanks, buddy. Well, I do want to mention we will have a link for Pay the Tithe in the show notes below, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening, it'll be below. Yes, my live stream 28 hours of Anomicon is available in perpetuity on the Ryan Sprague YouTube channel. You can watch at your leisure on demand. And I'm also going to be releasing every single presentation individually. So you can just watch each of those if you want to. I've already dropped 2 of our presentations this morning. The work never ends, Andrew. I swear. But yes, I'm going to go collapse for, I'd say, the next 24 hours. Excellent. So if you don't hear from me, I'm not dead. I promise.
Wonderful. Good to know.
I'm just brushing off an incredible Anomicon 2024. But dude, like I said last week, I will never miss an opportunity to spend an hour with you talking wrestling. It's my favorite part of the week.
Highlight of the week. Easily.
Highlight of the week, baby. Yeah. So, yeah, you can find everything we do somewhereinthering.com. Subscribe, rate, review. We need your ratings and reviews, guys.
Yeah. If you are listening to this right now, especially if you made it this far, please just take a second, go in there.
Do it. We're going up against some heavy hitter
typing noises. Yeah.
That was a good.
It might sound like I'm eating, but don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that at all.
That was
yeah.
All right, Ryan, let's get out of here. We're both tired.
do it.
Everybody, thank you so much. Ryan, ring the bell. Give me a nice tired ring. Ooh, taking a hit of energy first.
I had to do a spit take.
Well, now we lost Coke. Now we lost Coke as our sponsor. They were texting me as this was going on.
Ding, ding, a ding.
This has been Somewhere in the Ring. Thank you for listening. Subscribe wherever you get your pods, and be sure to rate and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever possible. We'll see you again soon, somewhere in the ring.